Welcome back to Gas in the Ass.
What the fuck?
Gas in the ass, huh?
Yeah.
You've been spraying gas up your ass, boy?
Yeah. It's how you get high. Gas in the ass.
The new hip way that the kids are getting high. Shooting gas up each other's asses.
That's
More than
right.
that, never mind. Frank's dead.
Yeah.
Cancel the show.
PS1 platforming and me dying, it's a very good combination.
I think the game is lying to you. I think that the water is actually higher up than they're telling you. Or maybe it's so toxic that you put 1 foot on the side of the land and it's game over. You immediately die.
Just 1 foot in the grave.
It'd be great if there was like a movie where, honestly, this is probably just more of like a Doctor Who arc that I want to do. He just gets like more and more damaged over time.
Mabini, have you ever thought about writing fan fiction for Doctor Who?
Yeah, I'm sure the Who fans would
Not-
love for you to write, and then he writes damaged on his forehead.
Yeah.
I have written ideas, but that would be like ideas that I would want a real Doctor Who season to be like, rather than as a fan fiction. Because fan fiction's like you make it and you're like, oh, this is what I want Doctor Who to be like. But I would just have it as like, this is my idea that I would execute on if I had the opportunity.
What's the difference?
Because I think fan fiction is usually made with the expectation that it will never become reality.
Whereas you think that your
Yes.
ideas will become
Whereas
reality.
I'm so egotistical that I'm like,
You think
that I'm like, I'm
pretty
just
well
gonna put this on the
guaranteed.
shelf for later, for when
thought I could jump while doing
when
that.
BBC ring me and they're like, Mabini, we need you.
Well, first of all,
Son
what
of a
is that?
bitch.
What is your Doctor Who idea you were about to bring up before? Because I think I
Yeah.
got a whole conversation about.
So we
fan
bring back the
fiction we can get
dialects
into.
again.
Do you call them dialects?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is different-
Everybody point and laugh at Frank.
No, he's
Oh,
a,
no.
as a
Oh, no.
new enemy
Oh, no.
that gets
No, no, no,
repeatedly
no, no.
brought back.
What's your Doctor Who idea?
One inspired by that I just had just now was having a foot in an acid pool, and then losing the foot, and just carrying that on for the rest of the season. Like, yeah, the Doctor lost his foot 3 episodes ago.
It's cool.
He-
It's like
he
when
can't get it
Peter
back.
Capaldi went blind
And there's
for
no
a couple
regeneration energy bullshit. There's none of that. Just
That would be
it's
kinda
just
neat.
literally he's still alive, but you know, he's kind of falling to pieces at the moment.
You know, I'd like that in a story because I think about like fight scenes. I don't like fight scenes that like don't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, they just happen to happen. So I think a cool way, like I think if I was to do a fight scene, like someone's got to lose a limb. You know,
Yeah.
something's got to happen.
Somebody is going
Something's
to
gotta come
die.
from this.
Actually, like straight up die.
Possibly.
And
I
it-
don't know. I mean, like, because I think about fight scenes for Brimstone Beach, I think, like, I don't want it to be like a shonen thing where it's just like they just fight for a while and then that's it. I mean, like, obviously, most shonen, there is a reason behind it, but, like, you know, no one really takes much from the fight. I guess sometimes they get powered up a little
Yeah.
bit, but few people are actually
They
like,
don't.
properly
Yeah,
damaged.
there isn't somebody who actually disappears from the story and loses everything.
I mean, sometimes it happens. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that, like, if I was to write a fight scene, which I have written 1 or 2 in my story, for the most part, like, there is a reason behind it.
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
You didn't. All right. So there's a guy in Game of Thrones. What's it called? Jamie Lannister loses his hand and basically loses everything because of that. Because like it's his sword fighting hand. So he's no longer a guy who can actually kill people with swords. He's now just like he's a has-been, and that's sort of like his journey from losing the hand, from being in a shit situation to begin with, and then it's getting himself into worse trouble. Like that's something that you'd want to see because you see him in his glory days, where he's just like this, you know, he wins the fights. To
Yeah. See, that's really interesting to me. That's real consequence. That's really what I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just consequence.
And so, bringing it back to Doctor Who, they almost did it with Peter Capaldi, where he was blind for like a couple episodes, and
Yeah, I brought that up
I
earlier.
really wanted that to carry on until his death. I wanted that to be like, I wanted it to
Death
get worse
as in
and
regeneration,
worse. Yeah, his
or, like-
regeneration. I wanted him to be blind, lose an arm, be basically disabled, and then die.
That could be very interesting.
Yeah.
I feel the same. That would be an interesting, like, big mix-up, and you'd have to write so many
But-
stories around that. and
But
be
but then
interesting.
they backpedaled on it, and he got his sight back, and everything was the same again. So I'm like,
it was like two
what
or
was
three, two episodes of like.
it was the like the monks or something like that, the pyramid thing, whatever it was. It was Extremis, it was called, where he's in like a science lab and he's blind, and it's because he was exposed to something, and so now he's blind, and it was cool. right? Because it was like, oh, the Doctor's blind. How does he deal with that? Because you're so used to him being able to see everything, and now he can't see anything. So he's just sort of using his devices and having to rely on his companion a lot. That stuff was cool, but you didn't really. Yeah, they almost had a good season in 2017.
I think that season's underrated, but
Yeah.
it's not.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably better than every season that's come since. Haven't seen the latest one with Shidogawa. I think maybe just putting shit behind a paywall doesn't help at all.
True.
And people learn that the hard way. Even though I don't have TV, having stuff free on demand is a great selling point. You want to be able to access it, but instead it's like you just... Because then they put entire episodes behind a paywall, and the only reason they're doing that is because they're getting funding, but then it becomes an eternal cycle of, oh, we didn't make a good episode and we only did it for the money, and now they're going to can the series. It was an idiotic move to begin with, because you had a good situation, and let's say the BBC weren't going to renew it, and so they were like, we want somebody else to fund it because we're not going to fund it. I don't know if there's just no smart people involved who can come up with a way to make it work, but
I just think the modern age of streaming has just fucked up a lot of media, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It's just all shit.
In supercars, people complain about having stuff behind a paywall, but there are races where, like, actually what they do these days is they do something called recaps on YouTube, where you kind of see like most of the race. You see like a lot of the good bits of the race. You don't actually miss out on too much, because they show like half the freaking race. Even though people will still complain about it, I think those people are basing their complaints on nothing, because it's you're kind of getting a pretty good situation even without paying a cent. So I think that if you can still deliver the show without completely hiding it and only showing like little clips, and show enough of it so that people are still getting the idea of it, you can get away with having it behind a paywall. But you gotta be smart. You can't just be like, here's a few bits of it and here's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. People will just lose interest and go, well, I'll just watch something else.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much content out there that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you aren't marketing it well enough, basically, if you're not putting it out there enough. Not having the balls to back yourself with your show and saying, no, screw everyone else. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going to bow to the will of the masses. It might be a controversial take. And you know what? Maybe Doctor Who isn't necessarily doing this for that reason, but like the sort of like the DEI sort of thing where like, oh, we've got sort of like the DEI hires where it's like, oh, we've got the first black Doctor, we've got the Indian companion. Might be a baseless take, but maybe they felt like they were doing something big with it, but it didn't end up really doing anything at all, and so they've canned that again. And so what, now we've got Billy Piper as the Doctor next? Or is that just still a rumour? Is that confirmed?
No, it's confirmed.
Yeah. So it's jumping the shark, I guess, is the sort of thing where they're like, remember us? We do a thing, and then you're like, oh, well, now you've done that, you're not what you were, and now you're straying further away from it. I think you've said it in the past that maybe Doctor Who is just not a show for the modern age, and maybe it's done its time as well. Like maybe there's only so much you can do with time travel stories, but Doctor Who is almost more than a time travel story. If you could do it right, you can make some interesting sci-fi stuff with it. You can do interesting historical takes. You can make a lot of interesting stuff with a show like Doctor Who. But instead, they're a bit too narrow with the way they write the stories.
I think that Doctor Who can potentially last forever, but they do have to, I think that it's necessary for it to keep evolving and changing and trying new things. But the thing is, when you do that, you know, it's not always going to work out. So you got to keep moving, you got to keep changing it. I don't disagree with like their choices in any way.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always good to change things. Because I think the show has to evolve in order to survive. I don't think it should be the same old thing that it always has been. If it was the same old thing that it always has been, it would have been dead and gone years and years ago, you know, and never return. I think that it's just a matter of like constantly trying new things and just seeing what works. And I think it's pretty well as simple as that. I think Doctor Who can be timeless because you're right, it's not all about time travel. Most stories aren't about time travel. You know, the whole time travel element is really more of just a way of getting them to the plot. That's kind of it most of the time.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, I think that for a time travel show, it really doesn't utilize that concept very much other than, just getting characters to where they need to be. I think that it actually is one of the few shows that lends itself to a kind of theoretically endless formula because they have that time travel and space travel of just being able to go literally anywhere at any time and have potentially endless stories as a result.
Did Frank just die?
I just wanted to raise
Oh, he
the
actually
shield.
died.
I didn't want to fucking
Yeah.
charge.
Holy shit, it
Yeah.
finally happened. Frank's first death, everyone. Stephanie, add a big 1 to the screen. That's the amount of times Frank has died, I think.
And guess what? Every single life bottle taken by fucking falling off the platform.
Does it save? Have you saved?
I've been saving after every level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I just remembered, like, holy shit, this is a PS1 game. There's a high chance that you may have just lost everything.
Next time I'm losing everything.
Oh, man, that was a whole episode already?
Yeah.
There's so many things I wanted to say. We just talked about Doctor Who the whole time.
Yeah. Alright.
Not again.